But this is kind of how esports work, right? Like, I'm not going to lie,
Okay.
Like, you won't get in a team without connections.
I mean, it's still
Or like recommend that this is what I wanted to come to, right? Like, it's like one could say I was lucky having a friend there and a friend here, but eventually it's hard to get into esports if you don't have connections and friends, right?
You know their gaming names. But who are they really? Take a look with us under the hood. Welcome to the 8th episode of Under the Hood. I'm Tien, your host, and this is the official podcast of the LEC team, Rogue. I almost said Rocket. Today, my guest is our assistant coach, Marcus Blumigan Blom. Hello.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm fine. Just a bit tired.
It's a bit early?
Yeah, a tiny bit.
Okay. I think you were the first guest where I was the one who was late, to be honest with you.
I'm sure.
I was actually surprised you were on time. But yeah, it's a beautiful weather outside. Unfortunately, you shouldn't be outside, right? But yeah, just a disclaimer, we're still in the office, some of us, not everyone, because we have to prepare, right? Because we're playing this week. Maybe one or two words about this. How do you feel about the whole situation with playing online and everything?
I mean, obviously it's not optimal, but I feel like this is what makes esports so unique as well, right? Like everything else has to stop and we can continue to go and grow and give everyone what they want.
Yeah, we can talk about this more in detail, but I feel like it's really cool because it's like going back to the roots,
Yeah.
like online games back then where it was just about fun and honor. But yeah, so you listened to a bit of the podcast you told me. Do you know how our podcast usually starts?
I mean, with questions, right?
Yeah. We have like 10 quick questions.
Yeah.
So it's the same for everyone. We just want to get you warmed up and maybe learn some things about you that we didn't know.
Okay, yeah.
So let's start. Question number 1. What's your favorite food and drink?
Food. Cola is a favorite drink for sure. Food. I mean, tacos, I guess.
Tacos?
Yeah. Taco, yeah.
Okay. Where did you eat your best tacos?
I mean, at home in Sweden.
So you never had real tacos?
No. I mean, define real tacos.
I mean, is it like, did you get the hard-shelled one or the soft tacos?
I mean, both.
Okay. And Sweden has good tacos?
I mean, at home, it's always the best. So, yeah.
So that would be Stockholm, right?
Uppsala.
Uppsala. Is there like a favorite restaurant or
I just did it at home.
Home cooked?
Yeah.
So you couldn't make tacos here?
And technically, I guess, yeah. But then I would have to cook it myself.
Okay. I mean, I was in the States, right? So, I mean, there's Tex-Mex.
Yeah.
Which is like the Americanized version of Mexican food.
Yeah.
But like in San Diego or like in Los Angeles, you can get like real Mexican tacos. And they're insane. They're like soft and then they just chop up the meat. It's really insane.
Fair enough.
So since then, I can't eat any tacos here.
I see.
Because it doesn't taste the same.
Have you ever tried Swedish tacos though?
No, actually not.
Yeah, then you should try.
But like you said, it's home cooked. Is there like a restaurant you can?
Yeah, there are some restaurants. I think it's called Taco Bar.
Is it in Stockholm or?
Yeah, it's Stockholm for sure.
Taco Bar. Okay, I need to check it out. Yeah. I mean, I'm probably gonna be there if we can fly this year. That drink, is it like Coke, normal Coke, or Coke Zero, or Coke Light?
Normal Coke.
Normal Coke.
Or Coke Vanilla, actually.
Coke Vanilla?
Yeah, both pretty good.
Do we have Coke Vanilla here in Germany? Yes.
I don't think so. I haven't found. I mean, I don't actively look for it. So.
He nods his head.
Fair enough.
But it's a light, right? It's Coke Vanilla Light, no? I mean, I hate this about these like different tastes because what is a Coke Lime or something like that? It's always light. It's like not like real Coke with lime.
Oh, I mean, in Sweden we have like all these kind of things: cherry, lime, vanilla, or whatever.
And yeah, you have this kind of soda that you only drink on Christmas, right? What was it called again?
Julmust.
Yes,
it's so good.
It's so crazy that you have like soda for like Christmas.
Påskmust too for Easter. It's like same thing, but it tastes the same as Julmust. It's basically the same. They just changed the name of it.
Yeah. But why? Can you buy it outside of Christmas?
No,
it's only during Christmas time. So you can buy it. That's funny. I mean, that's so unusual, right? Because it can't be traditional. It's Soda, you know. That would be funny to find out how that came about. But let's move on. Question number 2: who's your favorite League of Legends champion?
I mean, Nocturne, I think, or Trash.
Nocturne, Trash.
Yeah.
Why Nocturne?
I mean, I have no clue actually why I really like Nocturne. It was just when I played off-roll, whenever I just liked the champion because of his voice line, right? When you locked him in.
Actually, with Nocturne,
yeah,
I started playing League of Legends in the free week of Nocturne. So before, for all the young people, before when the champ got released, is it still like this? Is there still 3 weeks?
I think it is, but I'm not sure.
Okay,
I have owned all champions since way back.
Maybe can you explain how it used to work with like if a new champion released?
Yeah, I think every week, the second week, right? A new champion that just came out. You had like 20 champions that you could play for free every week, right? So the second week of every release, that champion came out, and then everyone used to insta-lock it when you play normal games.
Do you remember when you started League?
Season 2.
Season 2. Oh, so you didn't... I started playing before you.
Yeah.
Because Nocturne was like Season 1, I'm not sure.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, okay, then you don't remember like Nocturne with 6 Bloodthirsters.
No.
There was, everyone had 6 Bloodthirsters. Because I just started League, right?
Yeah.
And all these Nocturnes has 6 Bloodthirsters, and the ult was like global.
Yeah.
Because you could ult like almost from top lane.
Yeah, I remember the ulti range was significantly higher.
And every time he ulted, I was like, it was like instant one shot. Yeah, there was some funny times. And Xin Jiao, I guess, was also crazy back then. Was Xin Jiao and Nocturne. Well, question number 3. What do you love the most about working in professional esports?
Good question. Loving the most. I mean, I think it's achieving something, right? Like I want to achieve something and make worlds. But the thing I love the most is like working with the thing I love. I think every young person have had a thought or a dream about working with computer games, right? So I feel really blessed that I actually have the chance to work with like a really great organization and all the players and like the players that people watch every week. It's really fun to be a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that we're sitting here getting paid for video games and doing a podcast,
Yeah.
So let's talk about the reality. What do you hate the most about working in professional esports?
I mean, you basically take away your normal life, right? Like it's really hard to just go out, take a beer with your friends. I mean, now it's even harder, obviously. But like if I lived home, then you could work and then you go home and like meet some friends or be with your girlfriend or whatever, right? But now it's like really monotone at times, I would say. Like you're in the office, then you go home, you sleep, and then you repeat, right? Which I have nothing against, but I'm 27 years old soon, so it's kind of like sometimes I feel like it's a bit repetitive,
Let's shift away from the quick question because I think this is interesting. But I mean, if you work a real job, right? And you move to a different city for this.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the huge difference between the two of these, Why do you feel like you don't?
I feel like you dedicate a lot of your life. Like when you work with League of Legends, like your life kind of becomes League of Legends, right? Like there's never really a break from your job because you always have to think about these drafts and like watch other games, other regions, etc. So, and you want personally, I like to play the game myself as well to get updated what's actually good. So I have a real feeling of the meta, right?
So self-isolation is nothing new to you. No, I'm just kidding. But so it's more like a lifestyle, not just a real normal job.
Yeah, I would say so.
Question number 5. You can morph into a League of Legends champion in real life. Which champion would you choose and why?
What kind of question is that?
It's a fun question. We had some funny answers. I will tell you what your player said.
Okay. Good question. But actually, I would Shogath.
Shogath?
Yeah.
Why?
I would just be like, eat everything, right? And just walk around being scary.
Why wouldn't you take Tahm Kench instead? You could eat way more.
But Shogath is way cooler. Like his model is so cool. Tahm Kench is just a big fat frog.
Okay, but like imagine you morph into Shogath, okay?
Yeah.
And you go on the streets here.
Yeah.
How would people react?
I mean, I would not be in Berlin then for sure. I would just take over the world.
Okay. Don't you think the humans will just kill you?
But I'm Shogat. I'm so big. I eat everything, you know?
Okay. And then you rupture all the cities.
Yes.
What do you think Finn said?
Kled?
No.
No, that guy. I mean, that guy probably choose some handsome champion, you know?
Of course.
What champions are handsome in League of Legends? I have no clue what to choose. Set.
Yeah, Set.
Yeah, of course, the buffed guy.
And Inspire, what do you think about Inspired?
Set or Darius?
No. Complete wrong.
What did he say then? Listen.
No. I mean, he's a troll. He wouldn't say...
No.
I'm
kidding.
But no, he'd choose Grace. Mafia Grace.
Oh, but that makes... He played so much Grace back in the days when he played on mouse sports. So.
Yeah, but he was like, this guy is so cool. He would be a Mafia boss, right?
Yeah.
And then the only one who thought about something else was Vander. What do you think Vander took?
Brown.
No.
Tam.
No, they didn't win for their favorite champs.
No, but I don't think that's his favorite champs, to be fair.
I mean, Finn went for appearance, right?
Yeah. Vander maybe went for a really smart champion, actually.
Yeah, he went for ability.
Who?
He went for ability.
Oh.
So he really thought about the abilities, which one would be like really cool. It was Twisted Fate.
Oh, yeah.
So he can teleport everywhere. Yeah. So yeah, and he said he would be actually insane in casinos, you know. Question number 6. When you prepare for a match, do you have any routines? I had to change it for rituals. It was your rituals before. Then I had Isma here and he said, no, there are no rituals.
I mean, of course, we have like our team routines. I'm pretty sure maybe Isma or the players explain about it. But if you mean personal routines, not really, right? I mean, I'm taking part of the team. Now I'm stuck with the word rituals in my head. I don't have any specific routines, right? I try to get in bed in time, wake up like really early, you know? I mean, 10:30. So I'm awake when I arrive to the office, right? But apart from that, I don't have any specific routines.
I mean, there's one routine, and there would be question 7, would be actually interesting because I think you're the only one who can give me a real answer. Because you always listen to music beforehand.
Yeah.
So question number 7 is, what's your favorite music genre?
It's hard. I mean, right now it's drum and bass for sure, right? I love drum and bass more than anything. So I go to London every year to watch like all the cool artists there. But it's varied. Like I grew up listening to a lot of new metal and death metal, but I moved on to electronic music when I was like 15. Any like favorite bands or artists you have? I like Wilkinson a lot and Dimension. Okay, I'm not that deep in drum and bass that I can talk about this. But yeah, I mean, you're the only one who gave you a real answer. Yeah. All the others were like, yeah, pop. I listen to a lot of music, yeah. Actually, Vander said rap. Yeah, I like Vander's music taste. He's the DJ in the car sometimes. So when you're not the DJ. Who's the better DJ? I mean, we win more with Vander's music, so I would say Vander. What? We lost 2 of the music. No, we did not. Yes, we did. We have 4-1 with Vander. 4-1 for sure. Okay, yeah, 80% win ratio. Okay, yeah, that's fair. So, I mean, we're going to keep him getting the music if we win. Now, question number 8. What's your favorite game of all time? I mean, League of Legends, but the other answer is RuneScape. RuneScape? Yeah, I played RuneScape for a lot of years. What did we put in the subtitles for one of the videos? Run escape, right? That's like the... No, room escape. Oh, room escape, yeah. But you know we don't do the subtitles ourselves. No, right? I heard. We use the agency and then, I don't know. You didn't talk too clearly. So I didn't even like, what, room escape? I was like, it doesn't make sense, but I guess now it makes sense. But yeah, I think a lot of people from RuneScape went to League of Legends, actually, right? Yeah, there was a few. Like, I mean, there's Bunny Fufu, who was leader of a clan. I mean, the NA streamer, he played on C9 before. I'm a Cutie Pie played for sure. Demon Lul, a Season 2 player, was playing. On the US, like, I mean, there's this like top tier RuneScape players, right? So I don't know. I think everyone has tried out RuneScape at some point, at least the like older generation, right? But the only one I came up with that actually was like decent at RuneScape that played was Tundra. He was a top laner for like in like the UK scene. Apart from that, I'm not really sure.
Do any like mechanics or knowledge transfer well?
Definitely not.
Okay. Question number 9. Imagine you are stranded on a lonely island. What 3 items would you take with you?
Lonely Island, I mean... oh, I should not be as like inspired here and say a computer, right?
So you heard about this?
I mean, yeah, I did.
Okay, computer wouldn't be smart.
No, I mean, but it's kind of hard, right? Because I don't know which items. I mean, obviously, I would take. I mean, a lighter would be easy, because then I could like light a fire or like.
Okay, but that's one.
An axe.
An axe, 2.
But I wouldn't be able to use the axe. But 3.
You wouldn't survive long on a lonely island.
What did you say?
I said you wouldn't survive that long on a lonely island, right?
2 days maybe. I would just give up. No, but an axe, a lighter. I mean, lighter, like something to light a fire with, and a spear, I guess. Like so you could like
fish.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, sounds reasonable.
What did other people take? Actually, they maybe were way smarter than me.
So actually, Finn, I think, had the full plan already.
Of course, he had.
No, he said his mom is always like trying to
prepare him
for this. So he thought about like getting a knife, like you with an axe, something for the shelter, like some kind of plastic plate, I think.
Yeah.
No, he wanted to bring a water filtration system, something like that, so you can have like clean water.
Oh, fair enough.
So yeah, he really thought about this. Not like inspired, aka Casper. You know, Casper means like clown in German, right?
Really?
Yes. If we call someone like a clown, we just say you're such a Casper. It's actually not the most fitting name ever. Last question: which key is best for Flash? D or F?
F for Flash.
Wow. Like, what do you think the rest of the team has?
It's mixed, right?
Not really. It's actually really one-sided.
Then most should have the Flash on D, maybe, I guess?
No.
Is it F for
everyone
Flash?
has it on F.
No, but not everyone.
The only player who didn't have it on F was Steven Hansama.
Okay. Yeah.
Hansama had it on D. And Freddy has
Freddy has it on D for sure, yeah. Because we discussed this a lot when we played DQ.
Must be a Swedish thing with the Fs.
I mean, I think it's... Actually, it doesn't make sense in this, like, now, but I remember this was a big discussion back in the days in the League of Legends community, right? Like F for Flash or like blah, blah, blah. But I don't think younger player cares at all, But back in the days, it was like a thing to which key you had the F Flash on.
I just, it doesn't feel right to me to have it on F, right? Because
I mean, F for Flash.
I mean, but
but
D...
this is why I have F on Flash, right? It wasn't like this before, but when you get level 13, like you don't have Flash level 1. So always, I used to have like Exhaust. Exhaust is the first spell you unlock. Exhaust and Ghost, I think, or whatever. Like there's a lot but Exhaust like was the first spell, so it was on D. And then when I unlocked a new one, I had to put Flash on F because I were like the D. I already used it for Exhaust, right?
Okay, but you never like thought about because afterwards it was clear, right? You have always Flash, like this. It's actually crazy, right? That they didn't like. I mean, they tried to adjust it, right, with the summoner spells, but that Flash is such a stable. I mean, at this point, they could just make it like a summoner spell, like fixed, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I always thought it's much smarter to have it on D because it never changes, and it's like next to your keys.
But it never changes if you put it on F either.
But I mean, it's so far. I mean, D is much closer to your. I don't know. QWER. I feel like D would always make sense, and D is for dash, obviously. So let's start with the main part. I mean, I actually don't know too much about your history. I think we actually met through Twitter as well.
Yeah, we probably did.
Yeah, we wrote
I used to write a lot of Twitter back
a
in
lot
the
of
days.
memes. You should actually make my job now. But let's talk about how did you start with, like, in general with video games, because I think your story is kind of unique.
I mean, in League or just in general?
I think in general, but also in League. I mean, I talked about this with Freddie, right?
Yeah.
How players became like coaches, and you are kind of like a player coach, but on the other hand, you might not, because I think you also said you didn't feel like you're like a real pro.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's start with how did you start with video games first?
I mean, I was really young, I think. I mean, I used to play PlayStation 1 with my cousin, and like Nintendo 64, Mario games and stuff like that.
Super Mario 64.
Yeah, and so I convinced my parents to buy me a Nintendo 64 myself. So I played Donald Duck Quack Attack, it was called. I mean, it was just like a Disney game, right?
What did you have to do in that game?
I mean, it's just like Super Mario, but it was Donald Duck instead.
Okay.
So you ran around and like had adventures and did bosses and stuff. But the problem was they didn't buy me a memory card, right? So every time I played the game, I had to restart it every time. I didn't realize it.
Okay. You were like, why is this game so hard?
Yeah, but then I played a lot of Super Smash Bros. As well with my friends.
So how old were you back then?
5 or 6.
Okay, that's why you didn't realize you couldn't say.
Yeah. The thing was, right, I played a lot of NHL and FIFA as well on computer. When we got a computer, I was not allowed to use a computer before I was 7, I think. Or like not without my parents, right? Then I got FIFA and NHL, and I loved playing football and hockey. I mean, not playing hockey, but football. I played all day, every day. I was not that much into computer games when I was young.
So you also played hockey, right? Like a true Swede?
No, I did not.
Oh, you didn't?
I'm 170. I wouldn't.
So just NHL?
Yeah, just NHL. But I played all these sports games, right? Football Manager, FIFA, NHL. Then when I was 11 or 12, broadband started to become a thing, right? Before you had to have this, like, you called your operator. So like whenever you were on the internet, no one could call your house, right?
Yeah, there was no ESDN, I think.
Yeah, so I was not allowed to be on internet more than 20 minutes a day before. But my friend got broadband, right? And then he found this cool game on it, a Miniclip. It was like a site with like a lot of mini games, right? And he found a game called RuneScape there. Or he said Run Escape. So we were, okay. I mean, it was like linked from there, right? Okay. So we just sat there and he said like, it's really cool. They all had like matching names, right? So they told me to take a matching name too. So I just joined in, but I was not allowed to play more than 20 minutes a day, right? So I came really far behind because they sat there playing like 10 hours a day. So I was pretty sad. But my parents said it was not good for me to have like this. They said it was too expensive, but in hindsight, afterwards, they told me it was just because I was getting really hooked in computer games, right? And I didn't want it. So I kept playing PlayStation 2 at the time, right? I convinced them to buy me a PlayStation 2 instead. So I played, all these sports games again, and Ratchet and Clank. I probably spent 200 hours playing this game.
So then you spent 10 hours on a console.
Yeah. So it was like a bit counterproductive, but at least they could call their friends, right?
Yeah.
But eventually when I was 12, I got my broadband finally, right? So I started to play RuneScape a lot. Like, I think the game was way bigger back than it is now, right? Because it was like not that many good games. World of Warcraft was not even released yet, I think.
And did you went really far?
Yeah, I was, competitive wise, there's like two sides of it, right? But I was top 100, I would say. Top 100 of the high scores. So out of a few million players, active accounts, so I was pretty good.
So it didn't matter that you were so far behind at the beginning?
Yeah, no, it really didn't.
I don't know if it's a Swedish thing with the Football Manager, because I started playing back then as well, because for everyone that doesn't know, I have a Swedish citizenship and I have like a lot of relatives in Sweden. So all my cousins played, I think it was called Championship Manager back then, you know?
Yeah, it was.
So they played it, so I started playing back then. Did you play it a lot?
Yeah, I remember FM 2004, I went with AIK, Stockholm. I played like 25 seasons with him in a row, right? But the game was kind of not as developed as it is now, you know? So you never got your budget or anything, you just continued and continued and continued. So it was pretty weird.
But yeah, now it's way too complicated to spend like time in it.
Yeah, but
when was the last Football Manager you played?
2019.
Okay,
I bought it last year.
Okay,
I wanted to try it out. Then I got a bit too hooked. I played it like 3 days straight. It was off season, right? Then I realized, okay, if I play this too much, I will fall out of the meta. So I didn't want to play too much.
Did you also took Oika?
Yeah, I did, as usual.
You only said it because you're a huge fan, right? For Oika.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Do you think any of these skills transfer over to the real world? Like for Football Manager, how you think about?
Probably not.
But I mean, in Football Manager, everyone tries to get talents, right?
Yeah.
Because if you have like a club like Oika or
of course. I mean, but I just basically Google like best talents.
Of
Football
course.
Manager X like version.
But don't you feel like it might transfer a bit? You know, like in League of Legends, you're trying to look for the.
I mean, I like watching the ladder a lot. I think I'm the one in this team who watches National League the most and emergency regions. So I find a lot of like unknown players that I think could become good or are pretty good already, right?
So don't you have like the same feeling like when you discover a new talent in Football Manager?
Sometimes I have, for sure. I mean, Niski, when I worked with this guy, I could say for sure this guy was going to be a really good player, right? Same for Larsen. But it differs, right? Sometimes you play with good players that you think can become really good, but then their ego or whatever just overwins their actual improvement, right?
So there are a lot of factors in real life.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if, I mean, it's a bit now off the topic, but the other game that my cousins always played was Pizza Connection. Do you remember this game?
I have no clue what Pizza Connection is.
It was like you had to open a pizza restaurant.
Yeah.
And then it was actually, I think it's still a really good game. Because then you had to like get like a rental space, you know? And that was also the key, I mean, back then everyone tried to copy games, right?
Yeah.
And that was also the protection against like copying the game.
Yeah.
Because only in the handbook you had the real numbers, like numbers of the real estate companies. And you could get mafia to like boycott your competitors. But the only fun thing for me back then, because I was so young and didn't understand it, because it's actually really hard as well. You could like build pizzas. I don't know if you remember that.
No, I really don't.
I just spent hours and hours in my cousin's place building pizza. I thought maybe you know that too. Maybe it was a Swedish thing as well.
Anyway, like for the gaming history, I mean, I started to play a bit of Age of Empires too, right?
Oh, okay. Like everybody.
I mean, I thought I was really good at the game, right? And I played a bit online. Then I played versus Cyrus. I mean, an ex-teammate of mine and a good friend. And this guy is like, he was top 3, I think, in entire Europe, right? And I never said, I mean, he was so good at it.
Wait, there was already ladder for Age of Empires too?
Online? Yeah, it was. It was like ELO.
Okay.
And then when I was in Turkey, right, there was no server for a few days. So I think it was 7 people who played Age of Empires together. And I still thought I was decent, right? Because I thought Cyrus taught me a lot. But Abedage played 1v4 and beat us. So
that's where his name come from.
Yeah, I know. So one of the champions, one of the villagers, I think, when you lock it in, it says Abedage or whatever.
So he's a legit good Age of Empires player.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah. So how did you get into League then?
Okay.
After RuneScape, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I used to play RuneScape like all day long, right? I was 16 at the time, I think, when I started to play League. My friends used to go to internet cafes, right? But I'd never joined because I only played RuneScape. So I just sat from home and played, because they didn't have RuneScape at the internet cafe, right?
Okay, why is that?
I mean, it was like locked games. You could only play as like selected few because it was a pretty bad internet cafe. But anyway, then sometime I had nothing to do, so they said like, you really, really should try this. They had been like trying to convince me for so long to play it, but I wanted higher ranks in RuneScape. Like I wanted to become rank 1. But then one day I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it one try, right? So I watched it. I played. I think I played Cho'Gath actually. It was the first champion I ever played because I thought it was so cool that you could eat someone and get bigger and bigger, right?
Yeah.
But I was really terrible, like insanely bad at the game.
Okay.
So I played a lot, like even back then.
And did you jump straight into like rank when you were 30?
I will come to that story, right?
Okay.
So we started to play. I started to spam ranked. I got 30 really quick, right? And started to spam rank. It was I don't know if like, I mean, some people will for sure remember ELO, right? And I played a lot, and suddenly I was 500 elo, which is the equivalent of Iron 4 now for sure.
You had 500 elo.
Yeah, but then, like, because I played RuneScape at the same time usually.
Okay.
Like, I just clicked, and then I died, and then I'm gonna play some more RuneScape, right? But then my friends, we started in-houses. Like, we played a lot with all our friends, because this was like League of Legends was, I mean, we were all 16, right? So it was really big for us. People weren't just grown up and refusing to play with me.
Okay.
No, but so we could be 10 people in that internet cafe, right? Because we went there almost every time. The problem was I was so bad, so we could be 10 people there, but they would only play 9 and invite someone online. So
really?
Yeah.
That's how bad you were.
That's how bad I was. So that's when I said to myself and to them, I will become the best out of all of you, right? So when the seasons ended, I actually reached Diamond, 2,300 or something. So
in that same season?
Yeah. I mean, I spam stuff until we get really good at it.
So you played from internet cafe or from?
No, I started to play from home as well. Before I only played from the internet cafe.
Okay, and then they invited you again in the houses or no?
Nah, I mean it kind of died out, right? Because people started to, I mean, schools, people started to had to take school more seriously and stuff. I guess.
But you didn't.
I kind of did.
Okay. Were you good in school?
Yeah, I graduated with good grades.
Yeah. When you started League, did you also get the tip that you shouldn't spend any IP on like runes until level 20?
No, I did not.
So you spent all your IP?
I spent it on champions, I think. I wanted Veigar really badly and Cho'Gath, and they were, I mean, Cho'Gath was 6,300 IP back then, I think, not 1,350. So it took me a while to get all the champions.
So then you had like huge trouble to get runes, right?
Yeah, it took me a while. I played, I mean, this is the problem too, right? When I was like really low, then my friend told me, right, maybe it will go better in your rank games if you have runes. And I was like, what's runes? So,
what?
Pretty much.
Okay. I mean, when I started, my friends were all saying, hey, don't spend any IP before level 20. Because I don't know if people remember, but back then you could get like lower graded runes.
Yeah. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 runes. Yeah.
Tier 1, Tier 2. So yeah, if you spend it on the Tier 1 or Tier 2 runes, it was a waste of money.
Yeah, they were really useless. Yeah, I remember.
So they were all like, yeah, I play without runes until level 20. But that was so hard because you couldn't jungle really.
Yeah.
Except with Fiddlesticks and Warwick. So yeah.
I'm actually really glad they changed this like 20 rune pages and having to buy every single rune, right?
You don't have to buy rune pages anymore?
No.
Okay. I don't know because I already had 20,
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you still have your like initial account?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have like all champions on it and everything?
Yeah. I have everything.
Okay, so you became Diamond in season 2?
Yes.
That's insane that you went from 500 to... Because, I mean, it was really depressing with Elo. That's why they changed it, I guess, Because you can, like, straight up see how much you lost,
Yeah, I mean, it was different.
I mean, but I think it was... I hate promotion matches, man. I think it was way better with Elo.
I mean, Elo, yeah, I mean, it goes both ways, right?
Yeah. Okay, so did you play, like, one specific position or... everything?
I used to queue up. I mean, I played pretty much everything. I was like an autofill player, right? But I always liked playing support a lot. I was the original so-called Eagle, right? I was like Janna, Morgana, like all these champions. I loved Lulu when she came out. Like everything that could buff your AD carry, so they could I didn't have to do much. I just pressed E,
So you got carried.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you do Q?
Sometimes. Not always.
That's what they all say sometimes. Okay, then you became Diamond. Did you then got like straight offers from like teams or?
No, not really. I mean, I continued to play into season 3, right? Then I made a team. I mean, not really a serious team, right? We just played local LAN tournaments. I don't know if you remember like season 2, season 3 players, Finite. He used to sub in for Copenhagen Wolves a bit. Vicious Dreams, he was rank 1 for a while, season 2. Like we played together. Spike Knight, he played in German scene back then as well. Like we used to play this like for fun tournaments in my town, right? Because you could win like free headsets and a lot of like Coca-Cola and stuff like that,
Okay.
And, like keyboards. So we just participated there for fun. But I never really intended to go pro or anything. I just thought it was like really fun and something to do as a hobby.
So it was like online tournaments or like real LANs?
Yeah, I mean real LANs.
So, but you said one guy was from Germany, right?
No, he played in the German scene. His name was Spike Nike.
Okay, but he was still
he was
Swedish.
from my town. Yeah,
Okay.
Everyone was from my town. We all just happened to be like really high elo, like Diamond 1 Master Challenger. I mean, Master wasn't a thing back then, but like Diamond 1 Night LP and stuff like that.
So you were already friends with them before League of Legends?
I mean, no, we met in through League of Legends.
Okay. And I mean, I guess I understand now why you started going into competitive, because I mean, you already did it in RuneScape, right? So it was just natural for you.
Yeah, it was like a clanning system there that I really enjoyed. So I always liked being like at the very best, right? If I'm not at the very best, then I prefer not competing at all. Then of course it's hard sometimes because you reach your limit, right? But at least I'm trying my hardest. It's not like it's hard for me to just play for fun. It was the same when I played football and floorball. If I wasn't like the starter or the very best, then I didn't really want to play football or floorball anymore.
Do you think you're a better floorball player than Larsen?
Hard to say. I mean, I think I have no clue how good he actually is.
Yeah, because he played a lot as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, most of my teammates play in the best league, like in the Swedish national team, and I mean, not everyone, of course, but I have a few that plays in the national team, and a lot that plays in like the best team in Sweden. So,
okay,
I guess I was okay-ish.
Yeah, and they can live off floorball. Is it like their full-time job?
That's a doubt. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think like even the very, very best floorball players can barely live with it, right?
Yeah, interesting. But then, I mean, was there like one moment where you were like, okay, maybe I should try to become like a professional? Because I mean, season 2 was already Worlds and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was like too far away. If you look like, hey, I'm a player, you know? I saw all these pros play, and I got really demolished every time I played, you know. And I like when I got into game with Froggen, I like ran around fanboying instead of actually playing the game, right? So I never really intended or thought I could compete, because there was not like as developed national scene as it is now, right? Like there was no ERLs in the same sense. I think it was like go for LOL, right? But I had like a team, as I said, that I played a few local Swedish tournaments with, and then there was this like big internet cafe, right, in Inferno Online, and you could win 15,000 euro if you came first place. So we were, I got a few friends together because we were super hyped, right? Because 15,000
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, so we got a team together, and we didn't expect to achieve much, right? But we still played like ranked fights together, and maybe we could do something, right? And then we played, and it was like really fun. And this is the first time I played an actual like real tournament. Before it was just like local tournaments, right? But here it was like actually good Swedish players that we played versus, and we fell in like the final the final before the actual final, right? Because it was like eight stages. No, but it was 8 stages to qualify. So it was like first there was like one group, and then like it was like the end final.
So wasn't Go for LOL as well?
I mean, it was something like it was like Go for LOL format pretty much, right? So we never actually made it to the real finals. We didn't make any money, but this is where I thought like competitive was really fun. So I started to look for an actual team.
Did you compete against like actual players that still play today in that tournament?
I'll think.
Or maybe in the last 2 or 3 years, and like LCS.
2-3 years. That's hard to say. I can't. I mean, Betsy was there for sure.
Okay.
I mean, it was those kind of players like Betsy. I mean, Cyrus, Robin still plays, but he plays in Italian league, right? I mean, players like that, you know, like the very best Swedish players. So, but apart from that, I tried to make it to like the Swedish Esports SM, it was called, like the Swedish National League or whatever. It was a lot of money there as well, but I played in a lot of like variation of teams, right? But like teams change every week, because like, I mean, no one was really loyal to each other. They just wanted to make it really badly, right? And I didn't have any like good connections back then. So I never got on a really good team. And eventually I wasn't good enough either, right? But season 4, I think it was. It was season 4. I actually wanted to make a team, right? So I was talking with... we made a team together. It was this like new guy, upcoming, challenger. He was really toxic. And like I knew he was really young, right? But I wanted him like really badly in my team because I knew he was just playing with friends. So I asked him, and he was the first one to get challenger. Maybe it was season 5 actually, but he was the first one to get challenger that season. So I asked him, and his name was Double Agent back then. But he had used a new nickname, right? Larsen. So I took him, and he was like my first actual teammate where I played in an organization with. So it was Larsen, and then we got an AD carry. He was like rank 1 on Turkish server, but it turned out to be Swedish. He was like challenger player in the US as well. His name was Sampe. And then they won like the Swedish league year before, right? Like Cyrus and Robin, they played with Betsy before. So we played for a while, like in the amateur scene, right? And it was pretty fun.
Did you do good?
I mean, not very. We didn't achieve much, right? But it was like ranked 5 ladder, right? So you needed to become top 5 on the ranked 5 ladder to reach it. I mean, we were top 5, but then Cyrus and Robin got offers from like real pro teams, right, in the Turkish league. Like the TCL just started, so they just went there. So we got Betong Yuki instead. I don't know if you remember him from Giants.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, I played with him for a while as well, and those guys. But we never really achieved much, right? And I never really had this, like, I was a bit older now, right? I mean, I was like 20, 21-ish. So I started to like think it was not that fun really, because I didn't make any money of it or anything. It was like becoming more and more of a hobby, right? Because I had to work to earn my money. Of course, my parents told me like, you need to work. You can't just sit home playing computer games all day long. So I had to put it aside a bit. And when I was older, I mean, it was more interesting. Like other stuff started to become more interesting as well.
So after school, after you finished your graduation, you didn't went like looking for colleges or something like that, or
no, I started to work.
Okay, but because you wanted to try to achieve something in esports, or
no, not at all. I just didn't know what I wanted to do, so I started to work with what's it called, like graphic designer.
Okay. Oh yeah, right. You told me you start like a apprenticeship. Is
yeah, exactly, right? Like web design / graphic, you know. So that's what I did for a while. Then I mean, this is how I started getting competitive, right? Because I was still, I mean, master. I think I was like low master. High master, low challenger, or whatever, something like that. So I was just sitting, and it was summer. So I think I held holiday actually from my work during the summer, like 3 weeks or whatever. So then I got a random message on Facebook, because that's how people approached it back in the days, like Facebook or like writing in game, right? So there was a guy said like, hey, I'm Ravenna was his name. Like I'm the he played in Turkish league, right? And they were last place. I think they were like 0-10 or something, right? So the season was already over, but he asked if I wanted to come play for his team because they needed a new support. So I went there.
So you had to went to Turkey for this?
Yeah, I went to Turkey for this. So this is the first time I actually played in like a real official Riot League, right?
So you were all, was it official back then? I'm not sure.
It was.
Okay. So when did you realize you were just not good enough to be a player?
That's the part I for sure realized I was not good enough, right?
When you played in the TCL?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have the like desire to sit there and play like exactly like that back then, because I thought it was not fun. Like I just did it to get an experience back then, right? And it was not the best experience. I mean, the organization was not very good, and I got scammed there. Scammed.
Okay.
And I realized, you know, like I told myself after, if I can't even compete in the Turkish league, right, then I for sure can never compete in like LCS.
But was it different, like spamming games as a job instead of like a hobby?
It for sure changes things, right? Like if it's a hobby, then you play because it's fun. But sometimes when it's a job, right, you play because you feel like you have to. I mean, it shouldn't be like that, you know, but that's how I felt it. I know like our players here are like different for sure, you know, but that's how I kind of felt it back then in season 5.
Yeah. What team was it? I have a list here. Was it Crew Esports?
Yeah, Crew Esports, right.
Okay. Then after that, you like went straight into coaching. But do you think this experience was valuable for you later as a coach?
I think it was the first time I lived in a gaming. It was the first time I lived in a gaming house, right? So in that sense, I think it was pretty good, right? How to deal with your teammates, and they wanted me to stay and become their coach already back then, because I mean my strong thing was never my mechanics, right? I was always pretty bad at it. I was like a shot caller of the team and decision making. And I would say I understood the game like deeper than a general like low master / Diamond 1 player, you know? So so they asked me to stay and become their coach, but their owner really, really disliked me. So I just went home instead. But then I was home, and then once again, I was like, I'm never gonna return to esports, right? It's not my thing. But then Cyrus and Robin, they went to a new organization, Besiktas OHM, right? There was like a team that collabed with Besiktas.
Oh, OHM is Oyun Hizmeti?
Yes, exactly. Okay. So they went together with Besiktas.
Okay, they fused together.
Yeah, exactly. So they asked me if I wanted to become their coach, because like what they told me is like mean, okay.
Okay, maybe we shouldn't share these, but let's talk about. But you quit your job, right, to go to TCL?
I mean, now I did, yeah.
No,
I mean, the contract ran out from my original job.
So you finished your apprenticeship?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Exactly. So this was about.
So you studied, or like worked in graphic design.
Yeah.
Good to know if we need some resources. No, but you talk about your macro knowledge. How did you gain it? Was it just through like playing yourself, or did you watch like specific players and see how they did things?
Back then, macro was not really the same, right? I mean, it was not as advanced as it is now, but I watched a lot of league, you know, like a lot, like all regions. I always thought it was fun to watch these like bad teams too, right? Like in England or in Sweden, because it was by my friends, right? So I thought it was really fun to play, but eventually, like I remember an article already back in season 2, right? It was like Hawasubu, I think it was Frost or Blaze. I can't remember which team it was, right? But they like froze the waves and it was like revolutionary. Just like Gambit started to invade. So I always invested a lot of time like thinking, how can they do this, right? And I don't think many players takes their time to do that. I mean, now they do for sure because everyone is really professional. But back then, I think I was one of the few outside, like the very top that did it, right? So I think I learned a lot about the game that way. Watching and thinking, why do they do this and how?
But you were still playing support, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, freezing wasn't like a thing that you would do in bot lane, right?
No, I mean, you kind of did with waves, right? But it was like, I mean, I can show it later. It was really unique, I think.
Okay. Does it still work today?
No.
Okay.
It doesn't. They changed.
All right. So you went into coaching. When you got you came back, right? And you didn't have a job and this kind of like failed, you know? What did your parents say? Like,
I mean, they have always supported me in esports. Like they said, like whatever makes me happy, as long as I can make us like decent living out of it, right? So I can sustain myself. Then I can do whatever I want. So I'm really grateful for that. Like there was never any problem with me sitting 10 hours a day playing computer games when I was like 13 years old and onwards, right?
So they learned after the internet thing.
Yeah, I mean, they never really limited me after that because they said as long as you like play football and floorball and you're social active, you know, then you can do whatever you want after.
So you came back. What was your plan? Was it like, okay, I think I need to go into coaching?
No, I mean, I always like when they presented like we need a coach that's helping us like drafting and talking reviews and learn us about the game, right? Then I felt like maybe this is way more fitting for me than playing myself, right? So I wanted to at least try it out.
Did you have coaches while you were playing?
No.
No?
But there were some coaches, right? But it was not developed at all. Okay. I think LCS had coaches like on stage, but I think usually there was friends on stage, right? Like manager. I mean, today it will be more called like a manager, some of them, you know? I mean, some of them become managers as well, for sure. So
yeah. So you kind of slide into this coaching position?
Yeah, I just kind of slide into it, right? Yeah. Suddenly I was the so-called coach, right?
And how was like your first experience, especially like maybe respect? But I guess 2 of your friends were on the team, right?
Yeah, I think it was pretty hard at first. This is something I've learned throughout the years for sure, right? Like how to speak with players. Because when I came there, I was a player kind of. You know, I had like a player's mindset and
a bad player in their heads, probably, right?
Yeah.
So, what did you do like to gain their respect?
I mean, it was really hard at first, right? Because it was like different culture and everything, and we had different view how to play the game. Some people just wanted to like, I just want to kill, and I didn't see it this way. So it was a lot of disagreements, right, how to play the game. But it was like this first team, right, Besiktas, I mean we were second place in the league, but then I thought it was so hard to gain respect, and once you lose the respect, then it's hard to get it back, right? So it came to that point where I just said like, I don't think I will be the guy to win you the league, right? So I said I want to go home to Sweden. So I kind of gave up, right?
So I'm looking at you. It was just 2 months.
Yeah. So I left in the middle of the split.
Okay.
I might have get kicked anyway, right? Like I don't know, because there was like big disagreements between me and some of the players in the team, but I didn't feel like it was the right for me.
Okay. And what was the next step? Because then you became an analyst, right?
I mean, this was like Navi. It was a player called Lasagna. He played in Navi. Lasagna, yeah.
Okay.
He asked me if I just wanted to help them out for like with scouting and stuff, right? Because he said, I know you're really smart, so I need your help for like the playoff matches. So I just was there for like 2 weeks or something.
And he was a player.
He was the player, right?
Okay.
So
not a coach.
Yeah, I just helped him out for 2 weeks because I thought like, oh, Navi, it's good organization, like pretty well known, right?
From
so
CS.
they won't scam me because there was a lot of scams going on back and forth, like old seasons, right? So I just helped them for playoffs. I think they came third or second place or something. I can't I'd never really like invested a lot of time there, right?
But what was that work like?
I mean, it was just scouting, like saying like, how does enemy team play? What do you think? Like, what should we do? How should we draft?
Did you already did like some data analysis?
I mean, I didn't really do
crushing?
data for them. To be fair, I just like helped them out in terms of. I mean, more as a friend, right?
Okay, but you got paid.
I got paid.
Okay, we need to be.
But it
careful.
was not like it was not a big paycheck, right?
Okay, yeah.
It was,
But I mean, at least you get paid because a lot of people start and they do it for free, right?
Yeah.
Because so many people want to get into it. There was what was it, season 5, 6?
Yeah, around this time maybe.
Yeah.
I mean this year.
And everyone already saw that esports could be a thing, especially in League of Legends. So a lot of people work for free. Because
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I think it's not a bad way to get into esports, right? Like to get connections and stuff. It's not that bad to help like free at least one split, right? To get experience and connections.
But I mean, it shouldn't be like this way, right? Because
No,
if you
of
put
course
in
not.
40 hours a week or
of
even
course
more,
not. But I'm not saying people should walk in and take a full-time job. But they could say like, hey, I want to volunteer for you guys. If you're interested, this is my work. And then they can do like it every now and then, right? They don't have to do it full-time. And eventually they will get a real contract if they do it good.
So then you did the gig with Navi.
Yeah, it was really quick.
But what was like your thought process? Because all I'm hearing is like, okay, I just help a friend out. I mean,
this is how it happened a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is actually where I started because like Navi was playing the Russian league, right? And now I started to think maybe I actually want to compete and like achieve something, right? Because I really I started to get the competitive drive back.
As a coach or a player?
As a coach now this time. And I never really had it as, I mean, I had it as a player kind of in sense of solo queue, right? But I never thought I was good enough to compete with the very best. But now I realized, you know, like as a coach, I can actually help the players to actually reach something, right? And I can use my knowledge to share with either the support or like the entire team to actually become the very best in specific region or tournament, right? So I started to like this a lot.
So did it feel a bit like Football Manager?
I guess.
Okay, but then the next step was Giants, Underdogs. Which league was that?
I mean, the Giant. I mean, it was called Underdogs. It was their national league team. I mean, basically their academy. Yeah. So I was.
How did you get into that?
I got recommended by like they asked around because they needed a strategic coach. So they asked around for people and people recommended me. So the owner, I mean, not owner, but CEO reached out to me and asked if I was interested. So I helped. I mean, it was actually a pretty stacked coaching stuff in hindsight, right? Like we worked together for a while. We had also another thing, like we also had different views how to play the game, right?
Okay, but what was the coaching staff? If you say
it was me, Jandro, he's Misfits head coach now, and Andre Gugliotto.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was us three working together.
Crazy.
In the academy, I mean, for the academy team, right? And it was Losark for the main team back then. So I helped him out a tiny bit. Like it was the Max Lore Hustlin roster and Knight, I think.
So, because in the Euphoria podcast, I mean, they had Peter.
Yeah.
What was his last name?
Peter Dunn.
Peter Dunn. And he actually mentioned you and that he always recommended you as a coach. Was that the gig that he recommended you
No, he
for?
didn't know about me back then. I don't think not many people knew about me back then.
Okay, so that came later, where he was like,
it's often, it's
okay. Let's talk about it later. But the two other coaches you were with in Giants, what was like the structure? Who was the head coach? Was it like
Andre was the head coach, right?
Okay,
and I don't know what profession like
Andre was.
Andre was. I was like the strategic coach, but it was like a mix. It was so unclear back then, right? Like. Coaching was so new, so you didn't know which coach was supposed to do what, right?
So it's crazy that they had 3 coaches in the academy.
I mean, but everyone did a bit of everything, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, you could basically say I was an analyst for like the main team. And like, I mean, it was like, I did not really develop any strategies for the team, right? But I sat there and spoke with players and like reviews. I gave my opinion sometimes, right? But it's hard because like there was no Discord back then, so like the reviews were a bit different how it worked.
And Jandro, right?
Jandro, yeah.
He's the head coach now for Misfits, right?
Yeah.
Was he a former player as well, or
no? neither him or Andre were players.
So this mix of coaches is also like really unusual for that time, right?
Yeah, it was really weird for me, you know. Like I was thinking to myself, how can these like bronze players become coaches, you know? But they were actually like they had great authority and charisma, right? And willing to discuss the game. So I think they were like really good coaches.
So you learned something out of this time.
Yeah, I would say so.
Mm. And then you stayed quite. I mean, they just changed the name of the team.
Yeah, they changed from Underdogs to Under the Brave because they got Under the Brave sponsor, right? It was Diesel, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And then you went to Giants Gaming. So they made it to their main team?
I mean, I was like briefly working with them, right? Like at the same time.
Okay. Because they didn't do too well, I remember, I think.
No, they came third place.
Oh,
they split in NCS.
What
it's Giants' best place ever.
What roster was that?
Hustling Beast. Can't remember the
Was it Maxlor?
It was Maxlor roster. Knight, I think maybe Sunstar and Smitty J. Not sure.
Okay.
Can't actually remember.
Yeah. Oh, they came third place? Okay. And then, how did you get into Fnatic, man? I mean, I'm looking at this, like, this was for a friend, this was for a friend, and Giants, I guess, was like your real first job, not for a friend.
But this is kind of how esports work, right? Like, I'm not going to lie, you know?
Okay.
Like, you won't get in a team without connections.
I mean, it's still
or
like
recommend that this is what I wanted to come to, right? Like, it's like one could say I was lucky having a friend there and a friend here, but eventually it's hard to get into esports if you don't have connections and friends, right? So, I mean, it's still hard because I think there's probably some really good, maybe even players, you know, but mainly analysts that doesn't get a shot because they don't know anyone. I think there's some super smart people out there. Like I try to speak with all of these like unknown coaches and analysts, right? To see if they have something to even teach me, right? Or like they have anything to provide, because I think people are super smart in general. Like, I mean, okay, not in general, but there are some super smart people out here, right? But it's so hard for them to get in because they don't know anyone.
So you still do that? You talk with these?
Yeah, I'm trying to help a lot of people in esports, like young players or people that want to try, like send their work in or whatever to see if they have a shot to work in LEC.
So they just contact you on Twitter and then...
Yeah, anyone could do that, right? Or like do interviews or whatever. I mean, I think it's really interesting because you can almost always learn something from anyone, right? Maybe not league related, but like data related or whatever. So I think it's like really important part, like don't give up to people who's not in esports yet and they want to become, right? Because it's a lot about connections, not going to lie.
So do you think that experience with Andre and Jandro changed like your view maybe on who can become a coach? Or like
I mean,
work in esports?
I still think that it's always good to be a decent player and have a decent rank, right? But Andre, for example, is a great exception that you don't have to be the best League of Legends player to achieve great things and be a good coach, right? He has other really great attributes that he contributes to the team, obviously, right? He got a coach of a split, like 2 splits in a row, I think, as well. Like Grabs, for example, I don't think he plays League either.
I think he was... I mean, we grabbed him, right? I mean, he was also with Giants, I think, as an analyst.
Yeah, he was.
And then we grabbed...
At the same time as me. Yeah.
Oh, really? So you worked back then?
Actually, it was Grabs, me, Andre, Kandra, crazy times.
That was the 4 people?
I mean, yeah, and Losark was the main coach for sure, but yeah.
So Giants is the coaching factory.
I mean, they had a lot of great talent too, right? Like Giants was kind of known for having the team having really good players, which they send to like better teams, right? Same as Rocket. It was like talent factories.
Yeah, just but how did you get into Fnatic, man? Who recommended you, or how did you get?
Or
why did you leave Giants?
I mean, the contract ran out. And it was so many coaches and so many different
roles.
I mean, it's different roles, and like my role was really unclear for me. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, right?
So you didn't feel like you went somewhere?
I mean, I never really, like, I was a part of the team, right? But I never really felt I was a real part of the team, because it was like people had Kandra as head coach, people like mainly spoke with him. I spoke a bit with like the Swedes, right? Like they had tweets as support in this academy and hustling. We spoke and discussed the game, right? But I never really had a role. It was really hard to define what I was going to do. So I just spoke with players here and there and the coaches here and there, gave my suggestions. But then there was this LAN, right? In Malaga, I think. Like this, like Gamer G, I think it's called. Like a big LAN in LVP every year. And they could only send 2 coaches. So they chose me and, not me, they chose Andre and Jandro, because the players voted, right? And then I felt like I can't contribute so much more to this team apart from being like remote analyst.
So you weren't in-house?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
No, I was in-house.
So you worked from Sweden?
Yeah.
And then how did Fnatic happen?
Once again, like this is time, right? Like I think I came second, like 3 splits in a row now with different teams.
So you were the G2 back then?
What you say?
You were G2 back then.
I mean, they always came second in challenger scene, right?
No, I mean they came second now, and I mean it transcends League of Legends because they came second. In, I think in Counter-Strike.
I did not get the
Rainbow
joke.
Six. Okay.
Anyway, I mean, I just made a free agent post on Twitter, and Nico Di Pico contacted me. He was the head coach back then, and he said like he asked around and heard good things about me, and he knew like I was pretty smart about the game because we used to play each other, right? He used to be a jungler in like lower tier teams, just like I was a support in like lower tier teams, so we used to play each other in ranked twice a lot, right? And then he just asked if I wanted to become analyst for Fnatic Academy, and yeah, then I was in Fnatic.
So he was also Swedish?
No, he's Norwegian.
Norwegian. Almost. No, I can't say that. I can't say that yet. Yeah. But your role was analyst, right?
Yeah.
Was it just to have? Because I mean, it was.
I mean, I was like helping Nico as much as I could.
But
I mean, I was not helping Nico actually. He was the head coach of Fnatic main team. I was helping him a bit, right? But the person I started to work a lot with was Koobs.
Yeah. But I mean, would you say you had like an analyst job back then? Because I feel like back then,
it was like it was not really like I didn't sit there and collect like millions of data, right? Like the analyst back then was more like assistant coach as it is today, I would say.
That's what I'm saying, because back then, if you say like you have an assistant coach, that would sound like wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Like, why do you need 2 coaches?
Yeah,
that was the mentality.
I mean, that's how it
then.
was. Yeah.
So I guess they just renamed.
I mean,
analyst.
I would never say, you know, I was like an assistant coach of the academy or the main team, you know. But like
you fulfilled some roles.
With today, like fulfilling of roles, I would say I was like kind of an assistant, right?
Okay, and then you worked with Fnatic Academy. How did you came to the main team? Like
I mean,
saw you work.
Yeah, I mean, they thought that they did a really good job with Academy. We qualified for LCS with Academy team. Like back then, you could have you could qualify another team to LCS, right? But then you had to sell your spot. So they succeeded with that, and like in the middle of that split, they said like, "You're doing a good job. Do you want to help out our main team as well?"
And then
Nico got kicked around this time too, right? But Fnatic decided to keep me anyway
in the main team.
Yeah, I mean for both. So I was working with both, and I got to like work in-house with all the players and meet all the staff as well. So
you were already in-house back then with Fnatic?
No, I was not in-house, but I got called in-house like after.
Okay. With Fnatic?
Yeah, with Fnatic.
Just for like playoffs or?
No, I mean it was like qualifications for the academy team and the playoffs for main team.
So that was like your first real experience working in a tier 1 league?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. How was
I mean, I was really excited, of course, right? I mean, I thought it was like super cool to see the studio for the first time, like the LCS studio, and just get the experience, right? To live with like the very best players.
And how was it like? First impression, like what surprised you the most when you came into in-house?
I mean, not much. I had lived in gaming houses before, right, in Turkey, so it was not a big difference. But
I mean, their apartment back then was already impressive, right?
It was really big. Yeah, I think they still have the same one, don't they?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they have the same one. But either way, yeah, it was a really cool apartment, right? I mean, okay, my first impression was Germany really needs new elevators, and I still stand to that to this very day.
You need to walk. But I mean, Fnatic has also, like, I don't know, we didn't really talk about it, but I guess Sweden was always like some kind of like Counter-Strike country, right?
Yeah, it was.
And Fnatic had like one of the most famous Swedish rosters.
Fnatic and NIP always had like these great Swedish rosters.
Yeah, were you into like CS at all, or
never?
Okay.
I mean, if you make me play CS:GO, you will like not be able to sleep for a good while because you will have nightmares about my aiming.
And then I mean, Fnatic that year, I think that was the year where we went on a miracle run with Rocket, right? And then you kind of made it to
playoffs.
Playoffs.
Yeah, like the very last minute, right? And then in playoffs, Reckless really popped off.
Yeah, I mean, but before already, because I think at one point Fnatic, because I think the first half you did pretty okay, and then the second you started really bad. I think
this other way around, Fnatic had a really bad start. If I reckon
okay.
it.
But I just remember.
I think you're in wrong split right now, Tian.
No, I just remember then that Fnatic played some weird kind of style of League of Legends?
Yeah, it was called the animal style, right?
I mean,
there was no real coach after Nico left. I mean, Finlay was like interim head coach, right? He was the manager.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Fnatic developed a playstyle between the players, right? I mean, Broxa was a new rookie that came in. Caps was like this young, promising guy who was a bit crazy. I mean, and Yasis, like, and Reckless, I mean, they were okay. Like, they were a good bot lane, right? But I think they developed a style that, like, fit them, right? Without a coach.
I mean, it was Reckless taking all the farm with Kennen.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Tristana.
Kennen. I mean, they had, like, this, like, Kennen Shen comp, right? Like, Shen top lane with Kennen AD carry. And, yeah, it worked out for them. And in playoffs, I think they put out, like, Kennen, Wayne, Twitch, like, all this kind of, not necessarily cheese, right? But, like, champions that they didn't really scream with, right? It just worked out.
Yeah. I mean, back then it was cheese, you know, because people didn't ban Kennen for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, people always thought they could ban, like, could counter his Kennen, right?
Yeah.
Just like coaching stuff today, they could counter a Soraka. But it doesn't not always work out when you try to leave something open and counter it.
But how was that for your experience? Because, I mean, you tell me you are the guy who like thinks about a lot of macro and stuff like that.
I mean, I did not help this team with macro a lot. I think they were like the main team. I didn't want to interfere too much, right? They were really, they were that was a really like going team, right? I don't think they would want my help too much if I just came there and said you should have done this instead, right?
Okay, so what did you actually do there?
I mean, main team. I to be completely honest, I just like spoke with Finlay, like sent him like general analyst stuff, right? I did scouting for them, like enemy team, like pick and bans, like what the enemy team had played, stuff like that. For the academy team, I helped Coops with like same things.
Okay, so Coops was also with the main team to help out.
Coops was with the academy team.
Okay, so you.
I worked with them at the same time because they had like the office together, so I worked in between, basically, pretty much. But
then I guess you realize I don't want to be second role anymore. I want to be a head coach.
I mean, I wanted to try it out for sure, yeah. Because I thought like I had time in like good organizations now, right? Like Giants and Fnatic are both great organizations. So I wanted to try like if I could become something like, and I thought I had like decent experience. I wanted to try out if head coach was something for me again.
And then you went back to Turkey.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Passage, like, messaged me and asked if I wanted to become head coach. And my situation in Fnatic was really unclear at the time. So I decided to go to Dark Passage because they said like they had pretty good budget, right? And they made Worlds the year before, or like play-ins, right? They had the team with Cirques and Caps, and I always heard really good things about Dark Passage as an organization. So I wanted to try my luck there. I mean, unfortunately, we didn't get things together, so it didn't really work out. So we lost in quarterfinals already.
You already had Korean players in Dark Passage?
We had Syncroft. He came from Origin, right? Like this terrible Origin who went like
0 something.
Yeah, 117 I think they went, right? So we had him and we had Huslin. Huslin played in LCS before in Giants. So we had like 2 players with LCS experience, and then like 3 promising, I mean, not necessarily promising, but it was Holy Phoenix. I mean, everyone knows Holy Phoenix, I think. Or most people that follows the scene, because he's like the most famous Turkish player, right? And then there was a guy called Immortoro in mid lane, and a 16-year-old Fiora / Riven 2-trick then, named Broken Blade, which I coached him for a long time after that passage.
So you didn't have any Korean players, but
no, we got Ninja towards the end, right? I don't know if you remember Ninja. He played in NALCS for like 1 or 2 years.
Oh yeah.
So we got him towards the end because we made some roster shuffles. I think Turkish makes a lot of roster changes all the time.
Yeah.
Like kind of this a region known for making drastic changes, right?
If it doesn't work out, change.
Yes, exactly.
So was that your first time working with a Korean player?
No. I met Knight before, right, in Giants.
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh right. That was also, but it wasn't the same night, right?
Ninja Knight.
Okay.
But yeah, it was like the first time I actually met a Korean. Let's say, I lived with a Korean at least.
So how was that coaching like Korean players?
I mean, I think it was like, it was not that different, right? I didn't see him as wow, it's a Korean, right? I just saw him as a new mid laner who I wanted to like share my views with and wanted to see how like he played the game, right?
Okay, and then you helped NIP twice.
Yeah,
according to this list.
Yeah, I did.
And you met Larsen there again? I guess.
Not the first time. I mean, the first time was relegations. I helped him out in relegations, right? Or tried to. But second time it was with Larsen,
yeah. And then I guess that was one of the points how you end up in Rogue as well, right?
Through NIP, Larsen. Oh, I mean, you mean Larsen? My connection with Larsen. I mean, kind of, I suppose.
I guess we signed Larsen first for the academy team, right? And then he was bringing you on board. That's how I heard it.
I mean, probably. I mean, we spoke together that we wanted to work together again. So I guess that could be one of the reasons. Yeah.
Did you talk with Thomas or general manager beforehand already?
I was already talking with Thomas about Johnny Rocket before, but like back in the days, right? But yeah, I mean, I was speaking with Fly because I reached out to a few LEC organizations talking about that, like if they had like an academy spot open, right, as a head coach. And I got a lot of responses, but Rogue was the most fitting for me because I really liked the roster, right?
So how did the roster already consisted when you joined?
When I joined, Fly had met Inspired before. Like he saw him playing in Mouse Sports, right? Because I think they rented
the apartment that we have right now. So.
Yes, exactly. So he saw Inspired there, and
did
knew
you know Inspired
Polish.
before?
Yeah, I knew him from EU Masters. We came second in EU Masters with Ninas in Pyjamas before, right? So I saw him play there, and I thought he was like really, really good on carry junglers. Like he was like this 16-year-old talent who I've never seen someone play Kha'Zix and Graves like he did. So I was pretty stoked to have him in the team, right? Like already. Then they spoke about Woolite. Vander was not like confirmed back then because they didn't know if he would find a LEC team or not, right? But he was obviously in the talks. So I was like really motivated to get to work with like one of the best supports of all time in Western scene, right?
Yeah, veteran, a real veteran.
Yeah, exactly. And I knew he like I still think I can learn from players, right? And I knew he would teach me one thing or another, right? Yeah. Then it was Larsen and top laner. I mean, it was not Finn back then, but I brought Finn on board because I was like, I saw this guy play in both MRS and NIP, and I really thought he could become something great, right?
But that's funny because Larsen said also he wanted Finn.
Yeah, I mean, we went together and said like we want Finn because there was another top laner in the talk back then.
And Venda also said he wanted Finn. That's what he said. I don't know. But I guess you know how Fly works, right? He talks with the players.
Yeah.
And I guess
I mean, I think everyone wanted Finn. I mean, it was not like no one didn't want Finn, right?
Yeah. But then this team came together, I guess.
Yeah.
And you liked the roster a lot. But did you work with Finn beforehand? No.
I never worked with him. I just like I had speaking with him like briefly before, but we never worked together.
But I guess is it easier for you to work with a roster? I mean, we already had 2 Swedes in it, right?
I don't necessarily think it's like easier to work with someone. I mean, it's a lot about personalities, right? And how willing they are to learn and listen. And I think, I mean, both Larsen and Finn, I mean, not because they are Swedes, right? But because they're like great examples how a player should be and behave. Like they're always in time. They always like listen to you, discuss with you, right? Some players are just arrogant and ignore what you're saying, but these guys are like super good at doing it, both of them. So it's not having to do with nationality. It's about how your personality is and how much you're willing to improve and learn and discuss.
So when you met Larsen the second time in NIP, how much did he change from the first time?
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I met him, he was this like 14-year-old, right? His first comment to me was not hi. It was, Blumigan, you look like 30 years old. So I got a bit offended because I was 20, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he changed a lot. I mean,
Yeah. And then, I mean, you did pretty well in Ultraliga.
I think, we almost had an undefeated split. I'm still certain we would have one if all these roster swaps did not happen.
But how surprised were you that it clicked so fast with all the individual players?
I mean, not surprised at all, right? Because technically we had the best team outside LEC. I mean, for sure.
On paper, you mean?
Yeah, on paper, right? Okay. So like Woolite, been around the scene for a long time. Vander, same, you know, like these experienced players. In my opinion, Larsen was for sure the best mid laner outside LEC. Inspired, I saw the potential in everyone, right? And if 5 players are good, I mean, sometimes it doesn't work out, right? But I think the important part is like we found our way to play the game really quick.
I mean, you kind of had some struggles at the beginning, right? Because Larsen went on vacation.
Yeah, I mean, it was not really a struggle, right? I mean, he went on like, we started to scrim really late, but we had a sub in mid laner called Furoi. So, and he was not like bad, right? He of course he was not Larsen level, but we still had like some decent scrims. I remember this Furoi guy because I had no like expectations from him, right? But like the first scrim, he came in and he solo killed Magic Felix 2 times, and I was like, okay, it will still work out, right?
Okay, but how much impact do you think did the veteran bot lane have on the top side, the young?
I would say Vander had a lot of impact, right? I mean, maybe not necessarily the gameplay. I mean, of course, he brought a lot to the team in gameplay, you know. But I think like Vander's big thing, like what Vander actually brings to the team is his experience, right? Like he knows how to react in different situations, and he always helps his team out, right? Like, let's say, for example, I remember it very well because Vander and Finn lived in Berlin, right? And they were going to play LEC for the first time, right? It was Finn's first games, and Vander was so helpful to Finn, like told him how to chill out and not get zoned out before the games. And I think like that role, he was really, really good for the team, right? Like helping out Inspired, like, and everyone, the younger players, how to act in certain situations of the game. Like, so he was super good for the team. And of course, he brought a lot of knowledge with like macro and rotations, and like he helped me out a lot too, right?
So because before you started Scrim and everything, we all met up in Warsaw right before Christmas to announce the roster. I think that was also really helpful, right? That all the players met each other
it was
before.
Super good. I think it was a super good move by Rogue.
Yeah, I mean, you talk different to people, right? If you met them before and not just through like online, because Ultra League is an online league, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was good to get like how people personalities was, and like just get a chit chat, you know, like, hey man, I'm Blumigan, I'm the new coach, you know, like, how do you feel, blah, 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 stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people were surprised by Finn's character, I guess.
I mean, I don't know how you define Finn's character.
I don't know, but I mean, I was surprised, right? Because I mean, if you look at him, you feel like, okay, maybe he has a difficult personality, right?
Oh, I mean, I don't see it that way, but
I mean, that was my first impression. Yeah. I was like, okay, this guy, I mean, he doesn't look bad, right?
Yeah.
He must have some kind of ego, right? And I'm going to get out of him, you know? But I feel like he's
really
such
down.
He's
really, really down to earth. I mean, I never really saw him like that, you know?
Yeah. But I guess you only saw the player.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So then, I mean, what happened in EU Masters?
I mean, EU Masters was like, EU Masters was on me, kind of, right? I mean, we were really hyped going in, and we practiced all this like Sonata. I mean, it was Sonataric meta actually.
Yeah,
we were the first team basically to play Sonataric. I'm fairly sure. I mean, German league played it a bit too, but I think we were the like first really good team to play it and try to execute it, right? So when we played LEC teams, like they got really surprised by it too, how good we were on it, right? So because we beat a lot of.
So you were already scrimming LEC teams back then?
We did. Towards EU Masters at least, because it was like playoffs, so there was like limited amount of teams to scrim for them, you know, and we were that hyped team outside LEC that people wanted to try out if they didn't get another scrims, right? And we were for sure better than some LEC teams as well. But it's like, I mean, draft, I think, I mean, obviously this like infamous Kale Cassari, I mean, I can't remember, Kale Carter's comp came, right? And it was like, it was our misjudgment from scrims, because I feel like we were too good as a team, right? Because in scrims, we would get away with picking 3 scaling lanes and a scaling jungler, and we won literally every game, right?
Even against LEC teams?
I mean, sometimes, yeah, versus a lot of LEC teams too. Like it was like 50-50, maybe a bit less, right? Versus LEC teams, but we still loved our scaling champions, right? Casarin, Kale, Cartus, like all these kind of champions that needed time, right? Sonataric as well.
I think we also brought in the players for like a partial bootcamp, right? I think Finn was here.
Yeah, Finn was here. I mean,
everything except
everyone
Larsen.
was here. Everyone was here at one point.
Okay.
I think. Not Inspired, maybe.
No, he had.
Yeah, he had school obligations. Yeah. But it was like this. Like, it was like, not, I mean, kind of fake scrim data, right? Like, I thought genuinely that the players could get away with anything. So we just misjudged the drafts really badly. Like, the first time we lost with Kale, we thought it was just a bad game, right? Like, okay, we messed up with Kale.
There was the Misfits game, right?
Yeah, it was Kale.
I mean, it didn't look too bad, right? Because at the beginning, you were stomping them, right?
No. Still? This is not the first time. It was just Fnatic Academy, I think, we played Kale.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly, but like we thought it was like just a bad game, right? But it's not. I didn't like. The entire EU Masters production was weird, right? Because there was no tires, so we suddenly played with like 2 other academy teams, and I can't remember the other team. It was some Slovakian team, I think, but doesn't matter. It was like 3 of like the favorites, right?
Yeah, sure.
In the same group, so it was like the group of death for sure. So I didn't like the format. It was like really non-forgiving. If you lose one, you're in a bad spot. And I had like a bad draft, and suddenly we were in a bad spot, right? And then there was like this Misfits game, and we were for sure, we targeted the leader because he had I still think he has a small champion pool, right? So we targeted one of their players. He played Zed. We knew he would pick Zed, right? And then we thought once again, like, Kayle is a good answer here. But then we had, I can't remember what we had. We had Kayle. We had Kayle, Rek'Sai.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I just remember Hiva played Pantheon.
They played Talia Pantheon, yeah. We got kind of cheesed, right? But I think our weakness, like, they exposed our weakness really good too, right? We had problems playing versus 1v1 comps, and they abused it really well with leader, like on the set.
And then I think Dan was even a bigger factor. I think he also picked Nico. I think that was
Nico. That
was also like
we had like misjudgment, as I said, like with champions that were good and what we could do in draft, and I think it was like we were maybe not like
too confident.
Maybe not overconfident, but we were like really confident, and what we thought was the best was not the best, and
But now thinking back on it, like with the us being here today, do you think it was beneficial that we didn't win it?
I don't think it mattered. Like, I don't think it would have mattered if we won or if we lost all 3 games. Because, like, the players were still confident in each other, right?
Yeah, but don't you think, like, if we won the EU Masters,
then
there
I
would
think
be some kind of hype?
Of course it would be more hyped, right? Because, like, this, now when everyone got moved up to the main team, right? Like, people weren't as hyped because they said, like, they choked in the EU Masters, this team will not get good, But I don't think it mattered how we would play.
No, but I think it maybe gave them more time to like develop, maybe in some aspects.
I think it gave them way more time to develop, because otherwise they would get thrown into the spotlight directly, right?
And then
that's how I see it, at least.
Yeah, and then people are like, oh, they're not performing.
Yeah,
they must be overhyped.
Of course, everyone was like sad that we didn't make it far in the Masters, right? But it was not the end of the world, because all the players knew they had like this future coming up for them, right? And we had a lot of time to work and develop strategies and.
Yeah. So when did it come out that you moved with the team? Because it was kind of clear after our spring split that the team's gonna move up as a whole 5.
Yeah.
But was it like clear from start as well that you're gonna move up with them?
Yeah. Okay. I knew about it for a while.
Okay. Well, that's not usual as well, right?
Yeah, how I see it always, like, I'm always willing to prove my worth to an organization, right? So, if you we talk about history, I almost, when I play for LCS and / LEC orgs, right, I always started out in academy teams, and I know if I can prove myself useful, then it's like easy to climb up to a better role. And
then you work with Freddy. How was it the first time you're like working within the first like 2-3 months, maybe?
The first time, I already came to Rogue. To Rogue like in the start of the January, right? I came here to actually see how Freddy works, because I asked for it, because I wanted to learn from Freddy and Edward back then, but Edward didn't show up because of visa issues, right? My first impression, I didn't really know him, right? But I knew from the very beginning when I spoke to him that this guy had like really great game knowledge, right? So I was pretty impressed.
Yeah. And now I guess summer split happened. We didn't do too well in the regular season, right? And then we somehow got into playoffs still.
I think how it was, right? Like, we had this time to develop all the time, like during summer split, like we were still developing, right? And it was, I think the meta was like perfect for us for summer. Like all these flex picks, and we had really great preparation versus Splice, right?
Yeah. And then I guess it fell short against Schalke.
The Cinderella story ended, right? But I would like to say we were like maybe top 3 team. Maybe we deserve to go Worlds, maybe not, right? We will never know. But like the team as a whole was like we, as I said, like we had the Kog'Maw, for example, versus Kai'Sa. We had like all these picks, right? And then when versus Schalke, we didn't have that many picks anymore, right? Like we tried out a few things. Like we had Draven into Lucian, for example. We had Zac, stuff like that. But it didn't work out as great as the game before. And I think Upset played really good this series too.
Yeah, I mean, Zac. Again. But then Hans Sommer got added. What was your first impression of him? Did you know him before as a person?
We knew each other from before, yeah. I mean, I never worked with him, but we'd said hi and stuff in the studio. I met him like briefly.
Okay. And what was your like impression?
I mean, I always thought he was one of the best, very, very best mechanical players in the league, right? Like I think most of the players have been talking about how much he pressures every CS, like every single time, right? Like you can't walk up to this guy's lane or he will auto-attack you. Yeah. So you have to sweat for every single... I mean, so I was pretty hyped to get him, of course.
And I mean, it shows right now, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, before the Senna game, he was by far the... I mean, I think I would say Wander and Hans is one of the best bot lanes in the league for sure, if not the best.
And how well did he gel with the team now? Like maybe even like outside of the game?
I think he's a super good fit for this game. For this team.
For this game as well.
Yeah, I mean, for this game, for sure. But for this team, I mean, I think everyone in the team's good friends, all the players.
One topic I would really like to discuss with you is talents. I mean, we talked a bit about it. And I remember you made a tweet about your old list from when was it? 2017,
probably 17, 18, yeah. I used to do this once a year, with Candy Plus.
There were a lot of players on there that made it to LEC now, or LCS, I guess. With Niski and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How would you define like a good talent? When you look at talent, what do you look at?
I mean, it's just how they play, right? Like I mean, some players. I mean, I wouldn't say some players are brain dead. Of course, that's not true. But there's some. I mean, with some players, you just see they are like really mature and how they play and how they view the game, right? I mean, sometimes it comes from talking with them. Sometimes it comes from watching them play, like how deep they understand the game and. How I mean, some people just rely on mechanics, right? And they become really good because of it. Because you can't learn mechanics technically, right? You can have game knowledge, but you can't really like get this like mechanical gift, right? Like Leader, for example, he's this like so-called. I mean, everyone says it's like mechanics, you know? Like you can't suddenly learn that. If you're a Diamond 1 player, you suddenly won't get this mechanics, right? But you can teach him the game, for example.
So you don't think you can like get better at mechanics?
Of course you can get better at mechanics, right? But like you can't be a Diamond 2 player and suddenly you become Challenger 1000 LP unless you improve like significantly crazy.
But talking
talent for example, like for example talent. I mean Larsen's motivation and his motivation mindset, and like of course he was always like really smart about the game, but he was not as smart as he is now, obviously. But like he had like good mechanics, right? But I don't think the mechanics differ that much anymore. Like back in the days, there was like solo kills everywhere, right? Like Faker, the Demon Slayer. I mean, not Demon Slayer, but like Faker were everywhere, right? And he solo killed people left and right. Now it's not like that anymore. It's more a team-oriented game, right?
Because I guess it's much safer all around, right?
I mean, it's not necessarily safer, right? It's not that. I mean, League is created, so it's not that much room for outplays anymore in the same way because you can't solo carry the game.
But if you said you're looking at the games, are you talking about like competitive games? But
I try to. I mean, to this very day, I'm still watching Prime League, like the German league. I still watch. I mean, I watch the UK league, UKLC. I even watch Nordic league, right? Because I think it's interesting. I watch the Italian league as well. Because I think it's like interesting to see new players and new picks and like how they view the game and play the game. So eventually you will find players that sticks out, right? And that player is actually good.
Yeah, I'm asking because on solo queue you can't see like their game knowledge, right?
No, it's hard to see. I mean, of course you can see like players popping off on like Irelia and stuff, but you won't see how good they are in actual team environment. And I usually base like my like for fun lists, but some seriousness, you know, from they're competitive games, right? Yeah.
So who would be on that list today?
Outside LEC?
Yeah. Maybe just name like 2 or 3
but
players.
Do you mean outside LEC or do you mean outside academy teams?
Outside of LEC. Or would you do it the other way? Because I guess academy is pretty big now, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. It's hard to say outside, but like Xmatty, I think is super good AD carry. He plays for Fnatic Academy. I think our academy has pretty good players too, right?
Yeah, I think.
For sure.
I mean, they prove it, right?
Yeah. I mean, but it's hard for me to say because...
But wouldn't you say the Ultraliga nowadays is much tougher than when you guys played in Ultraliga?
Kind of.
I mean, based on the names that are playing there now.
I mean, we could talk about this like big names like Kikis, Jessis, for example, right? But I think those guys have been really underperforming at the same time. So it's not always about names; it's about how people perform. I mean, let's say Novi Color, right? That guy, I didn't even know who he was before. He subbed in for our academy team, and now I watched him, and I would say he's like one of the better top laners outside.
That's how fast it comes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I never heard of him,
Yeah.
But suddenly this guy pops off, and then he's a name, and then he played for Vitality Academy after, right? So, but yeah.
Imagine he's gonna end up in LEC this year.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a crazy story from nobody to LEC.
Yeah, for sure. But as I said, Xmatty, really good player. I mean, I would say he's better than a few AD carries that plays in the league right now for sure.
Okay.
But it's hard. It's hard to define what talent is. But like outside LEC, I instantly think of that guy, right?
Okay.
Xmatty. Now it's like my brain actually stopped working. Labrov. Support. He played for Big right now in German league. That guy will become really good too. I'm pretty sure he will get into LEC sooner or later, right? Sase, also a pretty decent player. He plays also in Big actually. I mean, they lost yesterday actually. I was really surprised. They lost really early in the primary playoffs, so they will miss European Masters. So we sadly enough won't be able to see them. But I think those two guys are pretty good as well.
But that's really bad for them, right? Because EU Masters
it's a talent show, right? But at the end of the day, like people talk about EU Masters this much, and I agree, right? It's a great showing for all this like talent, but at the same time, a great EU Masters performance doesn't necessarily mean like that you will get a shot in LEC, right? I mean, there's a lot of factors that matters.
But it helps.
Of course it helps. I mean, one player I could think about the other way, right? It's like Double Aim. He played in the E-Masters. They came top 8. I think it was Asus Rogue, right? So it was like a shock for me when I saw this guy play for the first time. I kind of knew him, but I didn't really know him, right? He played in a Balkan team, and this guy was everywhere of the map. I mean, he had kind of same playstyle as Inspired. I mean, I would say like Inspired was more developed and well fought but this guy played Graves. He popped off, like went 10-0, like whatever, right? So I was like really impressed, and I thought for sure this guy will get offers, right? In like higher tier leagues, but I haven't seen him ever since. Like I have barely seen him play, right? So
okay,
and he's still looking for a team, so I don't know what happened there. But just because you're carrying hard in E Masters doesn't necessarily mean you will get offers, right? But of course, it's a great time to showcase your talent. But I think teams will pick up players regardless. I mean, Rogue is a great example for that, right? Like the players got promoted even though they didn't perform that good in E Masters.
Yeah, but I mean, you could see the potential, right?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it wasn't like...
I mean, anyone that watched Ultraliga could see like the potential and like how Inspired and Wander worked together and how Larsen controlled the game, I mean, everything was pretty clear that this team had potential, But that's what I mean. If you just perform good in your national league, it can lead to more things, right?
Yeah, sure. But I mean, it's such a good system that came out of like kind of nowhere, I would say, with EU Masters and National Leagues.
I really love what Riot have done with the ERL system. Like this is why EU is so far ahead of NA because of this in terms of like talent factor, right? Look at NA Academy, like they have Darshan. He's like 30 years old now. No, but I'm kidding. But they have like this washed up. I mean, I would say it's washed up.
Yeah,
talent,
I mean, the Academy
like
is a joke.
Talent, right?
It's a joke, the league.
Yeah. I mean, it is. No one even watches it, right? They have like 3,000 viewers, and I don't think anyone, like people already forgot, like we had like great talent, like people like Treats, right? And Maxi, they went to NA Academy and people kind of forgot about them, I think these guys, I mean, especially Treats, he could have made LEC for sure if he didn't go NA Academy.
And I think there's NA talent out there, right? I mean, if you look at maybe like Tactical, I mean, he's not that, he's performing quite good. Johnson looks pretty good. Yeah,
I mean, there are some players for sure that doesn't get the shot there, because I mean, I think NA is a lot about PR too, but that's another story.
Don't you think it would be a solution for NA teams to send like their real talent to EU for like a national league?
I mean, there have been some NA players here, right?
Okay.
There is one NA import right now in UK league, and there was one, Andy Bendy was his name.
Okay.
I think he played NA Academy, and then he came to EU to try. I think he maybe studied here or something, but he played in EU. But he was one of the more promising players I heard, and that guy was straight up bad.
But wouldn't that be like a system
Of course it will help them like so much. Like let's look at all the like Australian play. I mean, not all of them, but like Destiny came here. I think FBI went to NA. Then this, I mean, they have a coach now. I think it's Swifter. He used to play.
Okay.
He's Excel's coach now. I mean, there's like a lot of Australian players coming here, and Destiny, I don't think he's anything special, right? But he surprised me how good he was actually.
And you think that was all because they came here for Worlds and played solo queue and then people saw them, or
not necessarily? I don't know how Origin scouted them, right? Like, but maybe it happened that way. But I think people are just more open since Broken Blade went to TSM. I think that opened up a whole new system, right? How people are willing to take the risk on Australian or Turkish players, for example, or Brazilian.
But I guess the NA just copied what EU did, right? Because before EU Masters, usually LEC or LCS looked at TCL, right?
Yeah.
For talents, because they could also play it before they were 17, right? Or
I mean, Caps and...
I mean everyone knew Caps is going to be good, right?
Yeah, it was 16-year-old in Turkey. Yeah, Caps and Cirque, they played in TCL before. Niski played in TCS. Like it was like Turkish Challenge Series, not the Tier 1 Championship Series. But he played there too. So there's a lot of talent coming from there, yeah.
Do you think EU Masters hurts the TCL?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, the thing that hurts TCL the most is the economy crash, right? But
of course.
But the Masters, of course, because before it was not many leagues to go to, right? It was like, if you wanted exposure, you went to the Turkish league if you couldn't reach LEC. But now there's such a good grassroots system that there is no need necessary, right? You don't have to prove yourself in Turkish league anymore. You can just play really well in Prime League. You can play well in LVP. You can play like really well in any league right now, and you will get recognition, right?
And there's this huge tournament at the end where you can actually show how good you are, right?
Yeah.
Because people would always say, okay, there's 16-1 in Ultraliga, but Ultraliga is so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not that good, right? And then in EU Masters, you can show. I actually really love EU Masters.
Yeah, I think it's super great as well. Like,
it resembles for me the Champions League system, right?
Yeah.
In football.
Yeah, for sure. It's like Champions League. I mean, and they actually improved the point system now. Like, I criticized it heavily like when we played there, right? Because of like the seeding and stuff. But now they changed. I think like UK and Germany have like 3 seeds now. Spain. I think it's like super good and healthy, you know? Like they actually get up a real ranking system. Because of course it was like just the start of E-Masters, right? So the system was not going to be perfect. But now they're fixing it. And then like in 2 years, I think it'll be like perfect. I mean, I think it's really good right now as well. But yeah.
In hindsight, I think Origin building that roster actually helped quite a lot, right? Because it gave so much hype to this tournament.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Forgiven and Jesse's one, yeah.
And were you on the team when they... No, that you weren't already on
I was in Turkey back then.
Yeah, that was the Lars and Finn.
Team, I was with Royal Bandits. I remember we screamed Froggen and Forgiven and Jesse's, you know, and I had Malarang and Septed. I mean, Malarang plays in LCK now again, right? But like Malarang watched... like he knew these players, right? And he just like laughed and said like, how these guys pro?
Okay. But yeah, talking maybe about the last topics. I mean, we're in a weird situation right now, like already talked about, right? Maybe share with us, because not everyone knows like how's the team doing, how did the team reacted when the news came out that we're not gonna play, and what did you guys do to prepare them for this week?
I mean, obviously it's a bit sad, everything that's happened, right? Like that the league got cancelled, but it's for everyone's best safety, obviously, so I understand the decision. I mean, we have been working as normal, nothing really changed for us apart from that we didn't play. I mean, we got a bit shocked when it got cancelled, right? Because we were about to go to the studio, and then we just said, LEC is cancelled, and I was like, I thought, like, I was a bit disappointed at the time, right? Because we had a really great week of scrims, right? We won almost everything, and we had great preparation. I think like everyone was so hyped to like
everyone was ready on point.
Yeah, everyone is still so ready, right? But everyone was so ready to show like the world that we're not the team that we lose to Origin, Fnatic, and G2, right? We're same level as them, right? And we just wanted to prove it really badly, and then just like the hype just poof, you know, disappeared. But it's, I mean, for
also
me,
all the routines, right? Like you talk about, we already did. I mean, part of the routines.
Yeah, we did draft. We did like, I mean, like ready to go, right? So it was a bit weird, but it was just 1 week, right? So nothing much had changed. We still do the same routines. We still scrim. We still talk. Do like team activities, breathing exercises. I mean, I'm sure Isma's been talking about it, right?
Yeah.
And all of that. So we're ready for next week and play from home.
So the feeling is still the same?
I mean, obviously it's not the same, right? I mean, online we go back, as you mentioned earlier, we go back to the roots. It's not the same as going on stage, and I think it can change quite a bit, right? Like I think some people choke on stage, for example. I don't think it's a problem in our team, but I think some people choke on stage, and some people like perform better when they play on stage, even, you know, because they get this like feeling sitting on a stage. Now I don't know how it will feel for people, right? I mean, some teams might feel it's a scrim even.
Yeah.
I hope people can get into like their competitive mind. I'm sure all teams like will do their best, or like to do that, of course, because we're professionals, right?
Yeah. I think Isma already thinking.
Yeah, of course,
how to get them.
Yeah,
into,
we already started preparation and measures for it, so to like make it feel the same as on game day, right? Yeah. But obviously, it won't be exact the same to sit from home and play.
Sure. But maybe we get more exciting games if they feel more like scrims, right?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
More kills.
I mean, I don't necessarily want that, you know. I like controlled, slow games, but I mean, it's fun to watch scrims, you know. But I'm not sure I'm sure the audience will love scrim games, right? To watch them.
But I feel like for this week, our opponents will probably take it seriously.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think everyone will take it seriously, right? It's still like the competitive integrity of the league.
Yeah. So, but I mean, like these two teams probably will not show a big difference between stage and being home. With G2 and Fnatic, I mean, there's so many veterans on there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for example, we also have a pretty experienced team after all, I would say, you know. I mean, we have 3 rookies kind of, you know, but they are like, I would say they feel like they are veterans sometimes. Yeah, how mature they are, you know.
That's funny that you say that, because that's what I think about them, you know. And I feel like even like on broadcast, people don't really talk about them like they're young, right?
Yeah.
If you think about it, like Freddy said it last week as well, Finn doesn't have that many more games than like all the rookies right now in the league.
Yeah, he has like maybe
4 or 5 games.
He has like 8 more games maybe, you know, in total.
Okay, I mean, if you count like playoffs, since there's so many games.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Just
but
regular season,
split, I think it's like 6 or something, you know.
It's just 6 more games, you know. It's not much.
Yeah.
And if you talk about the other players, it's, I don't know, 18 games.
Yeah,
more.
I mean, they're not that much more experienced, right? But it just feels like it because the way they play, and like, I mean, they play so mature.
It's so developed.
Yeah.
And I mean, back then we already knew, like, okay, Larsen is special, right? But that inspired in Finn also, like, grew up like this and be like, I think could be like potentially the best player in this region. Yeah,
I mean, this is the first thing, right? Like Freddy, like the first thing, he came and watched my academy scrims. I mean, obviously he had full time with his like with the main team, right?
Yeah.
But the first time he watched the Inspired play, he told me like, this guy will be one of the best, you know? Like the way he spoke about the game and the way he communicated, right? Like you just feel it in some players.
Yeah, you know what he said about Inspired last week? He said he compared him to Svenskern.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, he said like he talks and like inside and outside of the game, he feels like Svenskern. But yeah, so you have a good feeling going into this week for G2 and Fnatic.
Yeah, I do. But then once again, it's hard to say, right? Like G2 and Fnatic are both great teams, but I know for a fact, like when our ceiling is really, really high, way higher than people have seen on stage, right?
Do you already know where the ceiling is?
I mean, no. I mean, I don't think there's a specific ceiling, right? I think we can become really good, and there is no specific ceiling, like how good you can get. Like we're not limited by we can't become better than G2, right? Like that's not a thing. I think everyone in this team, which I'm really glad, is aiming to be the very, very best, right? And not just happy being the runner-up to Fnatic or G2, right? Like we don't want to be this third team, like Splice was last year, you know? They made quarters, but no one really remembers them, right?
And yeah, I feel like what you mentioned, I mean, everyone can say it, right?
Yeah.
But they're putting in the work. I mean, some players here are much earlier than they need to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I really like with this team, right? Like whenever I come to the office, I mean, sometimes I'm first, sometimes I'm not, but like I'm pretty early most of the times. And like the players are almost always there, a few of them, right? Playing solo queue already.
And yeah, I mean, they're open to all the stuff that Isma throws at them.
Yeah.
Just because they feel like maybe it makes a 1% difference, you know?
Yeah. I mean, everyone is really open-minded for everything, right? Even like if it's a new thing we need to do with Isma, like an activity or heart measures or something like just a random game I want to show them or Nico wants to show them or like whatever, right? Like everyone is really open for everything.
Yeah. And I mean, we're talking about the rookies, but I feel it's also really good with the veterans we have.
Yeah.
Because most veterans, I feel like would just close down and be like, I don't need this. I played this game, especially for Vander.
Yeah.
For so many years, that worked for me.
Yeah,
why should I try this?
Yeah, I mean, Vander is always open to new things as well, right? Like he still has the fire burning.
But yeah, I think we need to let you go for the scrims anyways. Yes. Thanks a lot, Blumigan. I hope it was interesting for you as well as your first podcast ever.
Yeah.
But thanks for all the listeners who are still listening to our podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcast app. You just need to search for Rogue Under the Hood. And we will look into if we're going to continue it by next week due to the coronavirus. But we will try. So maybe hear you next week. And thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.